Hey gang, Craig Ripley here. Welcome again to the channel I call Living Off the Slab. Now today what we're going to do is talk about some of the things that I need to replace during this current off season. And said primarily we want to talk about this thing. This is my Moto Pumps tire pump, and it's been a great pump over the years. I've had this for about 10 years now, and it's been an excellent pump. However, the last few times that I've been using it, well, it doesn't want to get up over 40 pounds very easily. And I noticed that the gauge on it isn't quite reading accurately like it used to. So I think it's just getting a little bit long in the tooth, so it needs to be replaced. Now what I'm looking at replacing that pump with is this one. This is the Fanttik X8 APEX tire inflator, and so we're going to see if we can't use this one instead of that Moto Pumps brand. Now the primary difference between the two is that, of course, this is a battery operated pump, whereas the Moto Pumps, well, it plugged in via an SAE plug into the bike. Right, so it got its power from the bike's battery. This has its own internal battery, and that's where it's going to get the power. So here is the pump. This is the Fanttik X8 APEX pump, and it has a max pressure of 150 psi, and you can see one of the nice things about it is it has this digital gauge, digital readout on it, right? So that's a big plus. I was really looking for a pump that did have some kind of gauge built into it. Now, of course, there are pros and cons to having a battery operated pump, and the biggest one being that, well, you have to keep it charged. Now, according to Fanttik, this pump has about 40 minutes of runtime before it needs to be recharged. So realistically, if you're on a trip on your motorcycle and you are checking tire pressures every day like I do, well, this should last a good long time for you before it needs to be plugged in again. Now, one of the cool things about having a battery operated pump is that it's very portable. You can take it anywhere. I'm no longer tied in to having to have that pump plugged into the bike for it to work. I can use it on my motorcycle, I can use it on my snowblower that I'm going to do here in a couple of minutes, or I can take it out and pump up my car tires with it. All right, so it makes it much more portable, much more flexible for me. Now, one of the things that some people do get upset about or all worked up about is that it is always the potential that a lithium battery like this could catch fire. Right? Because if it gets really hot, out on the road, of course, that is a possibility. However, I have been traveling with lithium-ion batteries in my laptops and, all kinds of other devices for years, and I've never had an issue with things being locked up in, my storage bags. So I'm not really too worried about that one. Another cool thing about this pump is it has several different modes on it. Right? You can cycle through the modes. Right now it's in what's called manual mode, but you can go through car mode, motorcycle mode, bicycle mode, and then ball mode. Now, primarily the differences between those modes is they have different lower and upper setting limits. Right, so for example, on the motorcycle, it will pump between 26 and 43 psi into your bike tire. So if you need something out of that range, well, then you're going to want to use the manual mode. So for me, on my Triumph Tiger Explorer, I have 42 pounds in the back and 32 pounds that I need to put in the front. So let's go ahead and fill up the tires, top them off for the winter, and see how this pump does. All right, so I've hooked the pump up to the rear tire. I have 38 pounds currently, that's this top number, and I have 42 pounds set as my target. All right, so I've got it in motorcycle mode, so we're gonna hit the button and we're gonna pump up this tire. It might get a little loud in here. So that actually wasn't too bad. It wasn't as loud as I was expecting it to be. And you can see right now that the pump took it up to 43 pounds, and now it's settled back in at 42. So now I'm going to disconnect this, and then we're going to test it with my tire gauge to see how accurate it is. All right, so there we go, 42 pounds exactly. All right, so this time, got it hooked up to the front tire. I've set it to 32 pounds. I've got 30 pounds in there right now. So again, let's pump it up. All right, now let's test it again. All right, so this time it came out to 31.5, so it's within a half a pound. I think that's pretty damn good. All right, now I need to top off my snowblower tires for the winter. So these go to 20 pounds, and right now I've only got 8 in it. So we'll see what it does pumping these up. So the last test is that I'm going to top off my truck tires. Because we've had some cold weather and I noticed that they were a little low the last time I drove the truck. So right now I have 32 pounds in there. I'm going to top it off to 38 on all 4 tires. And the reason that I'm doing all of this is I want to see how it impacts the battery life. All right, back in the garage after pumping up the car tires. Now, after I did all that, let me show you here. I still have, well, probably a little under half charge. So I just pumped a little over 50 PSI in all the tires that I just did. Again, and I still have a little bit of charge left. So I think that's pretty good. Now, if you're just pumping up your motorcycle tires, then I think this will last you quite a long time. It did have a little bit more, I won't say difficulty, it just took longer to pump the volume of air that is necessary to pump up those truck tires. But it did it, and it still has charge left. So along with the pump and the fill hose, you also get a few other things with this Fanttik X8 APEX pump, and that is a nice little bag to carry it all in. Of course, you get your charging cord, and then you get a couple of adapters. This is a Presta adapter, and then you get a ball adapter that comes with it. So all of that runs retail $129.97. However, they're always having sales out there. Last I looked, they were going for $119.97 on this sale leading up towards Christmas, and prior to that, on Black Friday, they were even lower. So I have links out there on my website as well as in the description of this video. So if you want to purchase one of these pumps, then please do so by, again, using those links either in the description of this video or out on my website, because then we get a little bit of a kickback there, and it helps keep all of these videos coming. So overall, I really like this pump so far. I am going to go up now and play around with charging it, because that's going to be my next video. I have the Fanttik jumper battery as well, and we're going to see how well it does charging this pump.